Welcome back to the Baseball Hut. So the Mets swept the Philadelphia Phillies in their three-game series at Citi Field. Mark Canha continues to destroy the Phillies as he did last August in Philadelphia. Now, a couple of things about the series. The Met pitching was really good. Kodai Senga pitched great on Monday. Carlos Carrasco pitched very effectively. And obviously, Max Scherzer pitched really well today. And if the Mets get their starting pitching in order, they will come back in this race very quickly. Now, they're kind of, tied with the last wild card spot. Now, before we get into the subject of this video, again, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut and like the video and let me know what you think about it in the comments section. So, the Mets offense has picked up over the last 2-3 weeks because they've been playing the kids. They've been playing Brett Beatty. Obviously, he's been playing every day since he got here. Alvarez has been, he's been an all-star. It'd be interesting to see if he gets on the All-Star team, but because he's played great. He's been about as good of a player as you're going to see behind the plate in a long time. Mark Vientos has not had a lot of at-bats, but he's been very, very effective in his at-bats. He had some very big hits a couple weeks ago when the Mets were home, and he had a good at-bat today. He needs to play every day. He needs to hit every day. He needs to even play third from time to time. I would mention this about Brett Beatty, which I did not mention. He really does well against left-handed pitching. So that's a great sign that he's going to be a very good everyday player. The fact that he's able to hit the ball to the opposite field, that's the most effective way to hit a lefty, is to hit the ball to the opposite field. If you're able to do that, you're going to be very successful in baseball. And his swing is just a terrific swing. I think I mentioned, before I get back to Vientos, that Beatty, his swing and his approach, it very much reminds me of John Olerud. He's probably not going to be as good as John Olerud. No, John Olerud was a great hitter that'll never get in the Hall of Fame. But that's kind of similarities I see with him. I know people mention Freddie Freeman. Beatty has mentioned Freddie Freeman. But he reminds me a lot of John Olerud in a lot of ways. But back to Vientos. His approach has been about what you would expect for a kid that's not playing every day. He's not getting at-bats every day. I thought his approach on Thursday afternoon against the Phillies was spot on. He was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive. He took tough pitches when he needed to take tough pitches. And he had a positive result when he drove in the final run for the Mets in the sixth inning. Now, he was, of course, pinch hitting for Daniel Vogelbach. Well, it's funny I should mention Daniel Vogelbach because that, again, is the subject of this video. I would mention that YouTube encourages you to talk about things on a repetitive basis. It's how they recommend you do things and how they recommend the channel and recommend the video. So if people are uptight that I'm bashing him, understand I'm kind of prisoner to a certain degree to the algorithm. And I know Met fans do not like Vogelbach anymore because they were booing him last night during this game. And they booed him on Tuesday when he came in late to pinch hit for Vientos late in the game. And he did not have a good at-bat. His at-bats have been terrible. I know that he had 2 walks in the game on Wednesday. Nola was all over the place, especially with his at-bats. But Vogelbach takes too many pitches. And 3 of his at-bats on Wednesday, there were 12 pitches thrown. He did not swing at 11 of those pitches. Now you're going to say, well, those weren't good pitches. I understand that. But his approach over the last month, and really for the first 2 months of this season, has been pretty much taking and taking and taking. He's not swinging the bat. For the month of May, he's hit 174. Last time I checked, I should check it before I came on this video, his OPS was under 100. It's probably lower than 92 now from last time I checked. His slugging percentage is slightly over 300. Last time I checked, it was 320. So it's probably lower since then. His at-bats have not been effective. They've not been productive at-bats, in my view. You hit the ball hard the other day. You hit the ball hard, and he gets thrown out. Because he cannot move. Like I said, he cannot run. He cannot play the field. I noticed that Luke Voigt was DFA'd by the Nationals. And obviously, he's a guy that's led the American League in home runs. He did that 3 years ago. Even though it was in a pandemic-shortened season, he did that. Now, the thing about Luke Voigt, even though he can DH, he can play first. So in my view, he's a guy that's probably going to get a chance to play with another team. So the team will give him, a chance to play because he could play first, he can DH. Vogelbach can't play the field, and he can't run. So Vogelbach, and I didn't think of this at the time about Tim LeCastro. The Mets brought Tim LeCastro up with them for spring training. After he had a good spring, he was here. Now, he hurt his hand, and he's going to be on the disabled list, the injured list, for the next, 60 days with his hand injury. But he basically came up with the idea. The Mets brought him to New York with the idea that he was going to be a pinch runner. So why was he on this team? You know why? Was to be the pinch runner for Daniel Vogelbach late in the game. And once LeCastro got hurt, they sort of had to use Alvarez at one point. They used Escobar at another point. Vogelbach is so ineffective as a player that you need a second player on this roster to run for him late in the game. And not every player can run. Understand that. But he's the last guy on your bench. He's a guy who plays semi-regularly every day. He gets 3 out of every 4 games to play. So if he's a guy that's a spare part, and he's a role player, let's just remember that he's supposed to kill right-handed pitching. He's supposed to hit for power. He's supposed to be a guy that drives the ball and gets extra base hits. And again, the slugging percentage is slightly over 300 now. If it's slightly over 300, then there's a problem. And the problem is he's not driving the ball. Now, he hit the ball in the air a couple of times in the last 2 days. One was a lazy fly ball, and the other one was a pop-up in Wednesday's game against the Phillies. And then he got all mad. A couple observations. Doesn't he look like Chris Farley? Doesn't he look like Chris Farley a little bit? He looks more than just a little bit, doesn't he? And doesn't that thing with him chewing his gum make you nervous? Him chewing that gum all the time? I know it makes me nervous seeing it. He makes me nervous when he comes up to the plate. Now, I have been very I think a lot of people have been very patient with this team, with some of the players on this team, and I've been very patient with the general manager. Okay? I've been looking at and just going back over the trading deadline deals that the Mets made last year. 3 in particular. Now, I'm not going to do a whole video on this. I'll mention it. 3 of those trades turned out to be, 2 of the players aren't here. And those 2 guys were disasters. Michael Givens and Darren Ruff. Now we have Vogelbach. I'm going to go over this in a more detailed way once they make a decision when Omar Narvaez is ready. Once Omar Narvaez is back on this roster, we will see the move they make. And one way or the other, folks, I'm going to blast the general manager. So just be prepared for that. Because here's the options now, as I see it. Either Vientos is here and Vogelbach isn't, or Vogelbach is here and Vientos isn't. Because I see them carrying 3 catchers right now. There's no reason to get Pham out of here because he's been pretty good. Unless they trade him and move him, he's done a good job over the last couple of weeks. I think he knows that he's next in the firing line. He's the next guy that could possibly go. So just keep this in mind going forward, that I'm going to blast the general manager one way or the other, because I've been going over these trades and it really bothers me. So you let me know what you think about that. I'm sure a lot of people have their opinions on it. I sort of I've seen the light on it. I've seen the light. Well, again, the Mets have to make a decision. Once Omar Narvaez is ready to come back from the injured list, we will see how the Mets look at Vientos and how they look at Vogelbach and their value. To me, Vientos has to be here. Okay, he's had very good professional at-bats. Vogelbach has not. Vogelbach has been a mess for the last month, and he's not impressed me under any circumstances, either on the base paths and his plate approach. You know, that really, I just don't like what I see. And I think a lot of people feel that way. That's why they've been booing him, you know, moaning and groaning. I mean, on this game on Thursday, he's taking pitches and you can hear the groaning in the ballpark. Because the fans know, we understand that this guy's problem as a player. And he is a career .218 hitter. This is not a guy that's a 300 hitter under any circumstances. So anybody wanting to defend him, saying that I'm saying nasty things about him, understand, he's a career .218 hitter. That's not a winning player. Okay? Sorry. Winning player, losing player, a loser, whatever you want to call it. This is not a guy that you want to have on your roster if you're going to win a championship. This is an older team, but they have young players that have to play every day. Mark Vientos has to get his at-bats. He has to play every day, either as a DH or once in a while filling in at third, or once in a while filling in for Pete at first. He cannot sit. It's simple as that. Or trade him. I wouldn't trade him. I like what I see from him. He deserves to be here. Vientos has done a good job. From what I've seen, he needs to get more at-bats so he can get more comfortable, and he's looked really good. His approach has been very good. But he needs more playing time. He needs more at-bats in these games. And I would mention again, the offense has looked better since these young guys have been playing for a very simple fact. You don't have a void in the lineup. That's the first thing. The second thing is it lights a fire on the other guys. That's why Marcana's hit a lot better. That's why Escobar's hit a lot better. And obviously, Tommy Pham has picked it up too. Vogelbach is the weak link in this and on this team in terms of where he can play, what he does on the field. You know. Now, you let me know what you think about this. You let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you. Have a good day. And I'll see you later.